This week we're going to talk about food, and by food I'm talking about the timing of your food depending on when you run. So in a few previous videos I know that we've always talked about food, and normally we're talking about how when you eat the food affects your actual running performance. And look, I don't expect this video to change anything, even though we know that you have to eat a little bit before you run in order to get the best out of your body to perform at your best. I certainly don't do that, and judging by the comments that I usually get, people do what they want to do. But in this video we're going to be talking about the timing of your food and how it relates to being healthier. And by being healthier, I'm talking about losing fat. So if you are trying to lose fat, maybe get a better body composition, maybe this study will tell you how to do it. Let's get into it. Guys, you know the drill. This is the Monday video, which means it is my weekly running and training vlog, and the main purpose of this video is for you to tell me about your week of running. I want to hear about successes, and I definitely want to hear about your setbacks. Now look, we are talking about getting healthier, maybe a healthier body composition. That doesn't necessarily mean losing weight. Now I came across an article in the New York Times, and it's from a couple of years ago, but the article is titled, "Eating After You Exercise May Provide Added Fat Burning Benefits." Now the title really gives the entire video away. I've got nothing to build up to, but we're going to talk about how they tested and the results that they found. And if this sounds like something that you can benefit from, then maybe it's something that you can work into your own life. So I think we all know by now, I don't think this next statement is going to be a wild revelation for people, but generally speaking, exercise gets us healthier. If you agree with that statement somewhat, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. And if you don't agree with it, why don't you just subscribe to the channel? Because it's very satisfying to follow people that you disagree with. Anyway, we know that exercise kind of gets us healthier, right? But of course, there are a lot of individual differences. As a population, we get healthier when we exercise, but there are those individual differences, and that could be genetics, diet, our physiques, our temperaments, and a lot of other small things that go into how we react to the exercise that we do. But things like genetics and temperament, they're very hard to change. So what can you change? Well, at the very least, perhaps you could change the timing of when you eat. So in this study, the researchers got 30 overweight sedentary men. This study only used men. They plan to do a follow-up study with women at a later time. So the researchers, they took these 30 overweight and sedentary men, and they gave them a fitness test, and they tested their insulin sensitivity. Then they separated them into 3 groups. So one of the groups, 10 of the overweight men, they were the control group, and they were just let go to continue carrying on with their own lives, armed with nothing more than the confidence that they were contributing to the world's scientific knowledge. And the other 2 groups, they participated in monitored fitness sessions 3 times a week. Now those sessions were just riding a stationary bike at a moderate pace, but they were hooked up to all the monitors. The researchers wanted to track their heart rate and also the amount of fat and sugar they burned. The researchers also asked the participants on the bikes how they felt, so they were looking for a subjective feeling while they were exercising. Okay, and here's the difference. One of those groups, one of those exercise groups, were asked to down a vanilla flavored shake 2 hours before they got on the bike. The other group were asked to down a similar tasting vanilla milkshake 2 hours before they got on the bike, but the second group were given a placebo shake. So it kind of tasted the same, but it contained no calories. So ultimately, the second group worked out on an empty stomach, but they didn't know it. Okay, so these guys are on their bikes, they're riding. After the ride is done, they were given the other shake. So the participants that had the shake with the calories were given the no calorie shake, and the participants that were given the no calorie shake had a normal shake after their ride. Got it? Pretty simple study design, right? So the researchers continued this for 6 weeks. Remember, the participants were riding 3 days a week for 6 weeks. And you're not going to be surprised to hear that the control group really didn't change anything. Their fitness, their insulin sensitivity just didn't change at all, right? But that's actually a good thing. That is what we want out of a control group. Now, here's the fun part. Both groups that did the exercise, their fitness increased. And I know that's not going to come as much of a surprise. And both groups actually lowered their waistline, although only a few had actually lost any weight. But get this, the riders that actually worked out on an empty stomach, so they were given the placebo drink before they did the ride, they incinerated about twice as much fat as the riders that ate or drank before they did their exercise. Now both groups, the placebo group and the group that actually drank something, they all burned the same amount of calories while they were riding. But in the placebo group, the group that had a drink, although it didn't contain any calories, more of the calories they burned came from fat. Also, the placebo group showed greater improvements in insulin sensitivity. And at the very end of the study, they had developed higher levels of certain proteins that can actually influence how their bodies respond to insulin. So there it is. Those are the results. If you want to get better insulin sensitivity, try not eating before you go out for your run. Now, look, I think this is going to work for a very small segment of our population. Perhaps those just getting started on their running journey or their fitness journey, they could see greater improvements if they don't eat before they actually work out. However, if you are running or you're racing or you're doing a workout, clearly you are going to get a better workout if you eat a little bit before you run, right? Do we agree with that? Ultimately, we need the fuel to fuel our workouts. So here's the thing, because we've also talked about on this channel how the timing of your exercise actually contributes to what you get out of that exercise. There have been studies that show that people run their fastest when they run in the afternoon or early evening, just because their bodies have had a time to warm up all day. But the researchers don't think that that has anything to do with the insulin sensitivity. They think it has more to do with the fasting side of the experiment. So if working out in the afternoon or early evening works better for you, then it's actually that fasting period that is going to make you burn more calories from fat or increase your insulin sensitivity rather than the actual time of the day. And of course, if you can't be bothered with any of it, just go out and do something. Something always beats nothing. So if you are just getting started, if you want to start running, just get out there and start running. You have more than enough time to start worrying about when you eat in relation to your run or what time of the day you run. And of course, I want to hear from you. I want to hear about your own personal experiences. If you have lost much weight from running, did you do that by timing your meals at different times next to your run? Let me know. For me, I just don't like eating before my run, so it works out a lot better for me to go out on an empty stomach most days. But yeah, I had a pretty good week of running, although this week and for the next couple of weeks, I won't be giving you the breakdown of my runs just because I am out of town. So if you are interested in what I did for my running this week, go ahead and take a look on Strava. I post all my data on there. And if you don't follow me on Strava now would be a great time to do it. I do have a link in the show notes below. And with that, be kind, be happy, run well. See you in a couple of days.